दृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ मंत्र 5th। अथ अध्यात्मं यदेतद्गच्छति इव च मनः अनेन च एतद् उपस्मरति अभीक्ष्णं संकल्पः। अथ अध्यात्मं, with reference to this pratyagatma, the teaching of the Brahman is given. The topic for which the Atma is the Adhikaranam is called Adhyatma. That's the subject matter. Atma is the subject matter. So, and yadetat, that Brahman which the Devas knew after being taught by the Uma, that same Brahman is etat, is this pratyagatma, is this inner self, is in the form of I. That Neyam Brahma, which is the Brahman which is to be known, is etat, is this pratyagatma. So yadetat, that shows yet indicates basically this the topic under discussion. Prakritam, they call in Sanskritam as yad is equal to Prakritam. Prakritam means the topic under discussion, and that is Brahman, because that was a topic which the Yaksha in the Brahman in the form of Yaksha was not known by this Agni, Vayu, etc. And then Uma appeared to the Indra and taught that Yaksha was Brahman, and later on Agni on Vayu also came to know through Indra that is Brahman. So all the Devas knew after being taught that Brahman. So that is under the discussion. That Brahman is equal to Yad. Yad means that Brahman which is under discussion is Etat, is this Pratyagatma. So it is in the form of this individual. And so, which is self here, but in Pratyagatma, how that Brahman is? Oh, it is Prasiddha. It is Prasiddha means Samanyena Prasiddham. It is in general, it is Prasiddham. It is not Prasiddham as a Brahman. Like the Yaksha was not Prasiddham in its original nature to Devas, same way here also. This same Brahman is Prasiddham already, but it is in the form of I am, that's all. It is in the form of I am as Prasiddham, Samanyena Prasiddham, but not Prasiddham in particular. Means as a Brahman it is not Prasiddham. So to that Brahman, Manaha Gacchati, that mind goes as though after being taught, the individual is taught. Same way the Yuma taught this to the Devas, and then same way the teacher taught to this individual that you are Brahman. So then mind as though goes towards that Brahman which is nothing but the self. And so Agni, Vayu and Indra also went very near to that Brahman Yaksha, but they did not understand who that Yaksha was. Similarly, here the mind as though goes towards the Brahman because it has to know, but definitely mind cannot objectified. What Brahman being what it is, already it is prasiddham. So well, it is not like the gata is not prasiddham or the clip is not prasiddham for you. Then definitely mind objectifies it and it becomes prasiddham. It becomes known to you. Prasiddham means it becomes known to you. But that is not how the Brahman is. Brahman is already prasiddham here as pratyekatma. I am. When without mind objectifies, it is already prasiddham. And therefore, gacchativa, as though goes. Mind cannot illumine the Brahman. And then, we said through Shravana Manan Nididhyasanam, Brahman is known. As I am, at the end of the Shravana, at the end of the Nididhyasana, one says, I am Brahman. So, that is how Brahman is known. And in that also we were seeing yesterday that how the mind knows. How mind knows the Brahman then. If mind cannot illumine Brahman, then how mind knows Brahman? So we said, already in Kenopanisad this has been told to you that pratibodha viditam matam, and so in every thought consciousness is there, invariable, and other than in every thought, in every cognition, let us say, by thought, in every cognition, there is something invariable and something variable. And so what is variable, you have to give it up. And basically what is invariably present, that is the consciousness. And so part thought is there, turns to part cognition. So in that cognition, how part thought became part cognition? Well, because of the consciousness. And that is how, so part cognition and then clay cognition and this book cognition and etc. etc. Mobile cognition, several cognitions are there. In so many cognitions are there, you find the manyness in the cognition, variety in the cognition, because there is a variable factor. And what is that variable factor? All the objects. Basically all the objects and the thoughts pertaining to those objects, they are all variable. And the consciousness which illumines the thought or the object of the thought, ultimately that is invariable. That consciousness, that is the pratyekatma, that is the I. And therefore, I am, which is prasiddham, as a samanya prasiddham, now becomes prasiddham in particular, that I am consciousness. So this pratyekatma is a consciousness, limitless consciousness, etc. That becomes prasiddham. And that is how one knows. So then who knows this? The mind only knows. Mind only knows that in every thought I am present as an invariable factor. So mind does not illumine. Mind does not illumine Brahman as an object. In fact, in every thought of the mind, basically this invariable consciousness is all the time present, which is self-illumining, which is self-evident. And in which form it is evident? I am. So it is evident in that form. That I am is invariable consciousness, which illumines everything. That is how one comes to know, through Shravanam. So this is the result of Shravanam. And then what is the result of Mananam? If there is a doubt in this recognition that I am invariable consciousness, but then how can I be Brahman? Okay, I am invariable conscious, but how can I be Brahman, limitless? So if you have that doubt that this consciousness is basically beyond time, beyond space. Beyond time, beyond space means basically beyond means again some problem will come. So let's forget that word beyond. So basically consciousness has existence in absence of time, place, etc. And out of the space, time, all are pervaded by the consciousness. The existence of space and time, etc. are due to consciousness. And that is how I pervade the space, and therefore I become all-pervasive, limitless, and etc. So with respect to that invariable consciousness which is in the form of pratyekatma or I am, now if you have a doubt that how it can be limitless, how I is beyond time, etc., how I am how I exist even in absence of a space, how I can pervade the space, if you have certain doubts, those doubts also have to be resolved. So you have a fallacious thinking regarding this Brahman, and one has to see the fallacy in the thinking and remove the doubt. So this is where the logic, of course, definitely is to be used. And therefore, how can I be timeless? How can I be timeless? Shruti may say anything. Shruti says you are Nitya. Atma is Nitya. But how can I be Nitya? Oh, but Nitya means timeless. Oh, but how can I be timeless? I have not found anything in the world which is beyond time. Everything is born in time, gone in time. Everything is like that. And then this Brahman is what kind of a cheese? They say, cheese means what kind of that object? That is beyond time? Well, so such doubt will be definitely there. Apply logic. Well, apply logic. Take your experiences and analyze it. And well, definitely, the time is, consciousness is. Well, and therefore, consciousness is because time is. No. Time is because consciousness is. You are conscious of time, and therefore, definitely, consciousness pervades the time. Time does not pervade the consciousness, etc., etc. Well, time is consciousness is. Time is not consciousness is, and therefore, definitely, consciousness is timeless. Even in absence of time, the consciousness I exist. Please understand this. These are all we have to apply the logic. Here, Upanishad will not come to help. Role of Upanishad is over when the Shravanam is over. And later, well, Upanishad has declared all these things. What Upanishad has declared, now you, with the help of logic or reasoning, you make it free from the doubt. The same understanding which has born through the Shravanam, through the help of the Shruti, well, now you arrive it independently with the help of logic. Of course, the statement of the Shruti only you are analyzing. And so, basically, so this is called Mananam. So that I am free from. And well, space is consciousnesses, space is not consciousnesses. And therefore, well, I pervade the space. Consciousness is not pervaded by the space. Because I am conscious of the space, I exist in absence of the space, that in deep sleep state, etc. And therefore, basically, I pervade the space. Space is consciousness, is indicating that space is pervaded by the consciousness I. And therefore, I am all pervasive, limitless. And therefore, this is how one has to understand. So, this is called Mananam. So, if a person has a doubt because he of some reason, and therefore, unless there is a reason, there cannot be a doubt. And so, false conclusions are also based on wrong reasoning. And well, definitely, if one has to take a lot of help of reasoning, I mean, then our understanding is quite weak, basically. So, but anyway, still, with the help of a right reasoning, etc., well, we can, valid reasoning, we can definitely improve, I mean, get rid of the doubts, or we can remove the fallacious reasoning, or the fallacy in the reasoning we can remove with the help of valid reasoning. And so this is, one can gain the firm knowledge, doubt-free knowledge. That is the process called Mananam, right? So the Brahman which was taught to this Devas, that is the Pratyagatma which is already Prasiddham, which is self-evident as I am. Now that I am is, which is an invariable factor, well, that which is already self-evident cannot be made evident through the mind, but still with the help of mind, I can definitely think that in every thought, well, I am an invariable factor, and that invariable factor is a consciousness, definitely. So I am invariable consciousness. That is revealed as Brahman. That invariable consciousness, the Pratyagatma or I, is basically Brahman. That is revealed in the Shastra through Mahavakya. But now still I am not able to convince myself that how I can be a limitless Brahman, which is free from the time, space and objects, etc. Well, then take the help of logic and understand it. So this is called Mananam. Even this reasoning, etc. is also used in analyzing the Shruti Vakya also, and finding out what it wants to convey. So what is its Tatparya, etc. vision. What is said by the Shruti, of course, should not be against reason. And suppose the Shruti says that, well, one gains, here itself, in the last mantra it has said, it is going, this Upanishad itself says, what is the phalam of this knowledge? So, well, it says, Anante Swarge Loke Jeye Pratitishthati Pratitishthati, one gains Swargaloka. Now you can understand. Already, so Shruti says when one gains this Amrutattvam, etc., in heaven, etc., well, we have to interpret properly. That is where even we require a reasoning. How? Swamiji, how? Because we say going to any loka ultimately is not eternal. And that moksha is something which is nityam. In fact, every philosopher, every darshanam, every philosophy promises moksha as a nityam. Moksha means and whatever the concept of moksha. Moksha means freedom from all kinds of suffering. That is moksha. That is understood and accepted by all the philosophers. And freedom from suffering for all the time, permanently, because otherwise I am getting freedom every day from the from the suffering. I become free every day in night. So you can increase the number of hours of sleep. Then you will be for more number of hours of sleep. Definitely, you will be free from suffering. So daily you are getting, but that is anityam, impermanent. And therefore, then why should I study anything? So everyone offers and promises moksha, that freedom from suffering permanently. So definitely, we say, so Swarga etc. also is impermanent, because you go there and as per punya, your punya, you will stay there and you will come back, etc. And therefore it is basically impermanent. So even in Swarga it's etc. also, even if you get happiness etc. and you remain free from the suffering, but that is also time bound, and therefore that is not moksha. That's how we dismiss. Even gaining Swarga etc. also is dismissed. Now the same Upanishad says what is the result of this knowledge, Brahmajnanam, that gaining Swargaloka. Then what are you talking? Because you said the Swarga etc. is not moksha. Going there and even to be there for some time is not moksha, because it is impermanent. And now here you yourself describe as a jnana phalam, result of this knowledge as Swargaloka. Anante swarge loke jyeye pratitishthati. But please see that. Anante. Then Swargaloka is not anantam. It is not infinite in terms of time. And therefore, definitely we will have to interpret this Swarga. What is Swarga? Swarga is something, one goes there and will be happy for all the time. That is called Swarga. And that is basically your nature. Because if you are seeking an happiness in all the time, at all the time, in all the places, and with connecting with all the objects, that must be your nature. If you seek happiness at all the time, in all the places, and connecting with all objects you want to be happy, and then definitely that must be your nature. Like sugar wants to become sweet at all the time, in all the places, and connecting with either a haldi or mirchi or anything, with either connecting with turmeric or either connecting with a chili powder. The sugar crystal wants to be sugar, the sweet. We say, oh sugar crystal, somebody has fitted a human mind in you, and that's how you are taking yourself as a beater. That is basically your nature. If you seek sweetness in all the places and all the time, and connecting with all objects, relating to all objects, still you want to be sweet, then definitely it must be your nature. And therefore, Swarga means where person wants to be happy at all the time, in that place, and connecting, relating to all the objects in the Swarga. Definitely that Swarga is my own nature. So Swarga has to be understood as one's own nature, understood as Atma, and this is how we interpret. Could you follow what I am saying? So we interpret in this way. This is called reasoning. There Upanishad will not have. Upanishad has told you you will gain that Swarga. That's all. Now that is the responsibility is on you to understand Swarga means an Atma, and there you require a reasoning. So, and Amrutattvam, if going to Swarga, basically one gains Amrutattvam. So if you can interpret Swarga as a Swarga Loka, suppose, forget about here, But somewhere else also, if it appears that by going to the Swarga, one gains moksha, amritatvam. Well, you have to either interpret either of the word. So Swarga is interpreted as a Swarga Loka, then you have to interpret Amritattvam is relative Amritattvam. Because definitely, Swarga in Deva, in going to Swarga, you become a Deva. And Devas are called Amaraha, immortal. Immortal means what? Not the immortality which we talk about, not the timelessness. Basically, one gains a long life, too long life. The time scale in the Swarga Loka is different from the time scale here. Definitely. Even if you go to any planet here, even if you go to even moon, let's say even a satellite, that the time scale is different. The day and nights are different. If you go to Jupiter, it's a different. Definitely. And so going to any loka, the time scale would be different. So well, in the Swarga Loka, Devas live a very long life compared to human life. And therefore we say Devatas are Amaraha. Devas are as though immortal, relatively immortal. And so this is the way you require to interpret. Don't think going to Swarga will definitely gain moksha. And therefore that is not the way. Or else, no, Amritattva means immortality only, timelessness. I want to keep that way. Okay. Then Swarga has to be interpreted properly. Swarga means a place where I definitely become happy all the time, or in all the places in the heaven, and connecting or relating with all the people and objects in the heaven. Well, that's your nature. So, well, definitely that Swarga means basically Atma. Atma is by nature fullness, and that is indicated by the word Swarga. So, this is way you have to interpret properly. And so, definitely reasoning is required even in interpretation of Shruti Vakya, Shruti Tatparya. So, during Shravanam itself, well, this kind of a reasoning is required. So, anyway, so this is, reasoning is all the places, but basically based on the Shruti. So, Shruti has revealed this, Brahman, and definitely, and that Brahman is not basically established or proved by reasoning. We have to understand that. Shruti only reveals it. So, basically, Brahman is not established by reasoning, and if by reasoning, if anything is to be established, then definitely it becomes a paroksha vastu. Like, by reasoning I establish, by inference I establish the existence of a fire on the hillock, then definitely that fire is paroksha, indirect, right? I am not able to see that, and I see only smoke, and I infer the presence of what? Fire. So that fire, existence of the fire or knowledge of fire for me is paroksha, indirect. And so if you say the Brahman is established by the reasoning, because you are saying reasoning. Yeah, we are saying reasoning, but not independent reasoning. Anything independently established by reasoning is indirect vastu. And so Brahman is not a paroksham, then Brahman becomes a paroksham. That is paroksha. And therefore definitely, and that is how we always say Vedanta is not logical. So we don't, Vedanta is scientific, etc. Means Vedanta is logical means whatever has been told in the Vedanta is proved by logic. Well, or then it becomes paroksha. Anything which you prove logically, which is not available for sense perception, you will have to use logic. What is sense perceptible? What is perceptible to the senses? You don't require logic. I am seeing you right now. Oh, Swamiji, prove it. You are, well, then my existence, you prove it. I need not prove it because I am seeing you. So what is available for perception, you don't require logic. What is not available for perception and the existence or knowledge of that thing has to be established through inference, through logic. And therefore, if Brahman also is to be established through reasoning, then definitely Brahman becomes paroksha vastu. But Brahman is not paroksha vastu. Brahman is the self, pratyagatma. And it is already self-evident. And therefore, well, it is prasiddham already. And therefore, Shruti only reveals that Brahman as pratyagatma, Only reason, then why you are using reasoning? Reasoning is used to eliminate all the contentions and doubts with reference to one being Brahman. How can I be Brahman? Let Shruti says. And then I understand. And then I use reasoning. Could you follow that? And this is called Shruti Anukula Tarkaha. Shruti Sammata Tarkaha. Tarkaha, reasoning. Shruti Sammata, reasoning based on Shruti. Or Sammata means basically the logic or reasoning in keeping with the Shruti Vakya or in keeping with the purport of the Shruti. Purport of the Shruti is I am Brahman. I take it as it is and then understand how can I be Brahman. So that is where reasoning is required, and that reasoning is based on Shruti Vakya, Shruti Tatparya, and that reasoning is not, we are not against that. In fact, that is required to be used. What science does is a basically different thing. Science has, because thousands and thousands of things are not perceptible, then you have to establish the presence of that thing through reasoning. So, that because it is paroksha. Like let's say a subatomic particle, nobody can see it. Then they have to establish through reasoning. That's a different thing. But what I am saying is Brahmani, which is prasiddha, which is self-evident in form of I, which is aparoksham. Aparoksham I have explained you. Without using any kind of means of knowledge, I is prasiddha. I is known as I. So Atma is prasiddham in form of I, basically. And therefore, which is aparoksha vastu, cannot be established through reasoning. Reasoning always establishes a vastu which is paroksham, which is indirect, and I am aparoksha, and therefore I am immediate. I mean the Atma is in the form of self, and that is I. And therefore, basically, and that I is revealed by the Shruti as Brahman. And still, Shruti says that, but I am not able to assimilate. Okay, I have certain doubts. How can I be Brahman, etc. Then you apply reasoning, and with the help of the logic, in keeping with the Shastra Vakya, you definitely resolve that doubt. So this is Manana. So Shruti Vakya also definitely it has to be scrutinized through logic, but that is in keeping with the vision of the Shruti. Well, if this is understood properly, then one's attitude and approach toward the Shastra will be different. It's entirely different. That Shruti is an independent means of knowledge for revealing Atma as a Brahman. Now, Nididhyasana. So, here if you see in the mantra it says, Anena Manaha Anena cha etat upasmarati. So, Anenaiva, Anena eva means Anena Manaha, basically means Anena Manasa Mumukshuhu Purushaha Samipataha Upasmarati. It means Samipataha etat Brahma Upasmarati. Samipataha Smarati. Smaranam karoti iva. Upasmarati means upa means samipataha san smarati. So by this mind alone, the seeker now contemplates intimately. Intimately means in form of the Atma, in form of I, upon this Brahman. So seeker contemplates upon Brahman as the very self. Because already it is now, in his mind he is clear now that I am Brahman. When he listened to the teacher, he has his own doubts. How can I be Brahman? Because he himself has taken already himself as other than Brahman, other than limitless. And therefore he is well-rooted notions that I am a limited being and how can I be limitless, etc. So those things he has removed through the reasoning, etc. Those doubts, contentions he has removed. And now it's a question of, assimilating. So it says here, the seeker contemplates very intimately in form of I upon this Brahman. So word eva means, he has been added here, upasmarati eva. So importance of the mind, of course, in knowing this Brahman is pointed out here. basically upasmarati. Manasa eva upasmarati. So in Nididhyasanam also, you definitely require mind. Of course, we have discussed independently, but now we are going through this mantra and we are discussing. So importance of understanding, getting assimilated this into this knowledge, or getting clarity that I am Brahman, basically, definitely your mind is very much required. So, because you see, in the Upanishad itself, it has been told that matam yasya na vedasaha, the one who thinks, matam means one who thinks that I know Brahman, like that, then he really doesn't know. That's how it has come earlier. So from this one may conclude that basically Brahman is beyond the mind, because one who says that I know the Brahman, he doesn't know Brahman, and therefore definitely Brahman must be something which is beyond the mind. Well, that is not the correct. That's not the correct thing. Shruti basically removes that kind of a conclusion that Brahman cannot be known through the mind. Brahman is known through the mind. Brahman is contemplated through the mind. But how it is contemplated, how it is known, etc., we are discussing this. Earlier I have already discussed to you that all the invariable factor in every thought is you. That is you. That is what the Pratyagatma is. That is the I. And that is, of course, revealed as a Brahman. So I am limitless consciousness. Consciousness is the invariable factor, and I am the conscious being, and I only connect to all the thoughts, all the cognition. I only say that I know pot, I know camera, I know mobile, I know computer, I know pot, I know book. So basically I know everything, and therefore I, the consciousness, is invariable factor in all the cognitions. So definitely you have taken the help of the mind. All the thoughts you are analyzing, and so through the mind only you have analyzed everything, right? So mind is required there also. And then removing the doubt, definitely mind is required. Reasoning. So definitely you require to remove all the wrong notions that how can I be Brahman? Well, so you apply logic, reasoning, and then there also mind is required. And in the Nididhyasanam also mind is required. So everywhere mind is required. Now we are seeing that part, that even mind is required here also. Already we have discussed that in Nididhyasanam mind is required to remove, to drop all the notions, etc. And therefore mind is very much present, because wrong notions are present in the mind. And so mind, Brahman is beyond mind. It's not so. Brahman is which is self-evident in form of I am. The wrong notions are also attached to that. And so remove all the notions, then definitely the self-evident Brahman is understood as limitless consciousness. Well, we have discussed that, but here it has been said again. So basically, matam yasya na vedasaha. One who says, I know Brahman, well, definitely he doesn't know Brahman. And therefore, perhaps, this Brahman has to be known going beyond the mind. It's nothing like that. You have to take help of mind all the time. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, everywhere. Mind is required, basically. And so, this Agni, Vayu, this Indra, etc. also could not know, not because it was beyond knowing, but because they wanted to know it as an object. So basically, mind cannot objectify Brahman, because the very mind is rooted in Brahman. That's what we are going to see now. Mind is already rooted in Brahman. Already rooted. So basically, mind is established in Brahman. Everything in the whole creation, everything is established in Brahman. Brahman alone has given the existence, and therefore one who lends existence, that thing can never be separate from it. Never be. If pot gets an existence from the clay, then pot, whatever way pot thinks, pot can never be away from the clay. Pot is all the time is established in the clay. Same way, whole creation basically derives existence from Brahman, and of course consciousness also. So nothing is beyond consciousness, or nothing is beyond the existence. And so even the mind is right now established in Brahman only. But it still, we say the mind has to be established into basically Brahman. That's the reason for that. We will see that. And so basically the Indra, Vayu, Agni also, they went and approached the Yaksha. They could not know. because they want to objectify the yaksha, and that way, well, they could not know. But mind is basically necessary. So it has been shown here. Upasmarati. Upasmarati means what? Upasamipatah san smarati. So means Brahman, Upa means samipatah. Samipatah means what? What is samipam? What is near? Near is this Atma, I, basically. Forget about Atma, I. I is very near. And that has been revealed, that I is revealed as a Brahman. That is what my understanding is through the Shravanam and Mananam. I have resolved out also now. So, Brahma ahamasmi iti nididhyasanam karoti. That Brahman is myself. But then why? It is free from the doubt. Why do you require that? But you basically, you even your mind goes away as though from the Brahman. As though. Mind cannot go away from Brahman because it is rooted. If mind has to go away from Brahman, then it should have an independent existence. Right? Mind leaves Brahman, then basically that's the beauty here. Mind cannot leave Brahman because anything which leaves Brahman, then basically, well, mind should have an independent existence. That is one thing. Second thing, if anything leaves Brahman, then Brahman cannot be limitless also. Brahman is no more Brahman if anything leaves Brahman. If you say limitless, means nothing is away from Brahman, right? That is what the limitlessness is. And therefore, anything which leaves Brahman, well, definitely Brahman cannot be limitless. And not only that, this mind, etc., will also a Satya Vastu. It has its own independent existence, then only it can live. And therefore, that is not possible. Nothing can leave Brahman. It's all the time established in Brahman. Then why Nididhyasanam is required? That's what we are saying now. Why Nididhyasanam is required? That is how Brihadaranyaka Upanishad very beautifully said, Dhyayati eva, as though I contemplate upon Brahman. I want to establish Swamiji in Brahman. That very I, my Ahankara, has to establish in Brahman. But it is established. Ahankara itself, the I thought, is already established. I thought cannot be independent of Brahman. If it is independent, then Brahman is not Brahman, it cannot be limitless, and I thought that has an independent existence. That's not so, sir. And therefore, just be relaxed. You are already established in Brahman. But there is something because of which we will have to say that you have to meditate upon Brahman. That you are Brahman, you are Brahman. That is the reason for that. Anyway, so Brahman is as though objectified. Well, so he contemplates that I am Brahman, etc. So, well, Upasmarati means, as I told you, Upa means Samipatah, in the form of I, in the form of Pratyagatma. He contemplates like that, I am Brahman. So, as though Brahman is objectified, the mind goes as though. But you know how it is how it goes now. Now I will tell you. See here. Like I said, a Pratibodha Viditam Matam, right? Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So in the mind, you get a varieties of the thoughts and thoughts pertaining to the objects, definitely, and they are the variable factor, and you are invariable consciousness. This is all you understand now. And the beauty is, what is variable is all the time non-separate from the invariable. What is variable? A thought or an object of a thought, either. So, like let's say the flower, there is or let's say clip, and you have a thought, clip thought, right? Clip thought, you have a clip thought. Either a clip or a clip thought, both are non-separate, both are variable. Now the clip, now something else, and the thought also will be pertaining to the object. So that is also variable. Thought also is variable, objects are also variable, that you know very well. So either object, either a thought pertaining to the object, well, definitely both are variable, but they can never be away from the consciousness, right? They can never be away from this consciousness, which is Brahman, and therefore, well, everything basically is non-separate from the consciousness, or I can say, well, the flower itself is a consciousness. Well, if I say this is flower, I say flower is Brahman. I say pen is Brahman. I say book is Brahman. Why? How can you say like that? What kind of a courage you have got to say that? Well, basically anything which is non-separate from Brahman, basically Brahman only is in the form of that. How? How? Take the example of again our pot. Pot is well rooted in the clay. Can I say the clay alone appears in the form of pot? Can I say or not? And therefore, well, basically because clay alone provides existence to the pot, I can say very well clay is in the form of pot. Or you say pot is non-separate from the clay. And therefore, whatever is variable in your mind, anything, it may be a moon, sun, anything, any object, and that has become an object of your thought, basically mind. That all variable factor is entirely non-separate from the invariable, or the invariable consciousness, that is Brahman alone is in all these forms. Why? Because Brahman is limitless, it pervades everything, and therefore nothing is independent of it. In fact, well, when I say, well, the water pervades the entire wave, means water alone appears in all these waves. And therefore, well, anything in your mind, whatever, let it appear anything. Yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhaya. Yatra yatra manoyati, wherever the mind goes, wherever the mind objectifies anything, let it go to the variable factor, let it go, and there itself you realize that is me, that is me, that is me, that is me. After some time you will say, I am all pervading Brahman. That is the revelation by the Shruti. Whatever is there. But then Swamiji, why this is? Because basically everything is Brahman. But your mind does not remain in invariable factor. Your mind is rooted in Brahman, that is invariable, yet it moves to variable factors all the time. It is extrovert. It moves from object to object to object to object. And then, but why does the mind move? That's its nature. Don't complain. That's its nature. Mind thinks. It's not a matter of complaint. That's its nature. Then what is Nididhyasanam is, let the mind go from object to object, from variable to variable, and the thought also be there. You say, I am that. I am that. Now the flower thought, flower cognition, no problem. Well, I am the flower. I am in the form of flower. I am in the form of pen. I am in the form of this. I am in the form of sun. I am in the form of space. I am in the form of this. This is what all pervasive Brahman is. Because entire variable thing is a non-separate from the invariable consciousness. Well, without consciousness pervades everything. When you say space is, well, definitely consciousness is. And therefore, definitely the invariable factor, that is consciousness, that is you, alone is in the form of space, is alone in the form of Vayu, alone in the form of Agni, alone in the form of tree, alone in the form of ocean. And so don't shut down your mind. Let the mind go to any object. Let it go. There itself you say, I am that. That is Nididhyasanam. That is the Nididhyasanam. I, the invariable consciousness, pervades that. And therefore, all this manifestation and all these variables basically are my own manifestation. I am manifested in all the forms. That is what the meaning is. Yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhaya. Wherever the mind goes, I have a samadhi. I have a nididhyasanam. I am there. I am there. I am there. And thank God that mind moves. There is something called variable. In comparison to that, you understand yourself as an invariable factor. Otherwise, how will you know that you are invariable? And so, basically, don't have a complaint regarding this. Anyway, this is the meaning. Now, this meaning of the word upasmarati can include mananam also, since removal of doubt regarding this Brahman is also involved in that. So, but one more reason for taking this meaning of upasmarati as mananam, because of the presence of another two words. Abhikshram Sankalpaha. Abhikshram means always, and Sankalpaha means meditation. So this person is always in the meditation. How? So this is the way which I have explained to you. And of course there is a mantra which I told you, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which says, well, Dhyayati iva lelayati iva. So Dhyayati iva means person as though contemplates upon Brahman. Why as though? Because he went away as though from Brahman. And therefore basically we have to say he as though contemplates. Because one can never be away from Brahman. But basically mind moves, and that is where he also moves all the time. So we say, well, now he contemplates upon Brahman. Now he doesn't contemplate upon any other thing because he is moving along with the variable things. And that is how, even though he is established in Brahman, his mind is established in Brahman, very I thought is established in Brahman, still we say he meditates. So that meditation is as though possible, as though meditation possible. So if going away from Brahman is if real, then there is no question of Brahman being limitless, and nothing can be away from the consciousness, nothing can be away from the Brahman, nothing can be away from you, that is consciousness, and therefore, well, the mind recognizing this invariable factor as though contemplates. Dhyayati iva. So because earlier the mind was totally concerned with the variable, and so we were saying you are away from Brahman as though, and now basically you need not bring the mind to the Brahman because it is already established in Brahman. So whereas the mind has moved away towards the variable, there itself we recognize the invariable thing, and that is how we say he contemplates upon Brahman. So that is called contemplation or samadhi. So it was already revealed that is, the Brahman is revealed as an invariable consciousness which is ever present, all pervasive, and therefore nothing can be away, but the mind moves with the variable, goes away with the variable thing. So we say, well, wherever the variable factor is, there itself he sees something invariable. Anyway, so abhikshram means always, and sankalpa means meditation. Means here all the time he is all the time in meditation. He is all the time in the contemplation. And how long I have to contemplate is a meaningless question. In as much as how long means basically how long I contemplate upon Brahman. You are all the time in Brahman basically. So contemplating I am Brahman is like a sugar crystal remaining in sugar syrup. It's like this basically. Could you follow that? Because you are already established in Brahman. Basically, so the mind moves, just don't appreciate a variable factor. Appreciate what is invariable factor, that is you right there. And what is variable is basically mithya. It is non-separate from you. And any variable thing is basically non-separate from you, means basically it derives existence from the invariable, that is consciousness, and that is present in every thought or in every object of the thought. So this is how the nididhyasana. This is a way also can be said. But Swamiji, you were saying contemplation basically nididhyasana means negating. There is a negation involved, and now you are saying something differently. No, here also negation is there. Your mind is appreciating only variable part and not appreciating invariable factor in that, and that's how we say negate that variable factor and see the invariable which is present in every variable factor. This is a way of looking at it, and definitely mind is required, and a alert mind is required, a waking mind is required where all the thoughts are there and you are analyzing and all the cognitions are there, and in the cognition, where the mind moves, I also move, but only nididhyasana means basically I appreciate invariable factor, that is consciousness in every cognition. That's what pratibodha viditam matam. That is what the pratibodha, the nididhyasana is appreciating I. There I, of course, pratibodha viditam matam is Atma is present or consciousness is present in every cognition. That's a shravanam, that's all right. But you are that consciousness, and if you think that way, that becomes a nididhyasanam now. So you are present, you are that invariable consciousness which is limitless, and being limitless, you are all pervasive, and that is where the mind, let the mind move anywhere into any object, let it objectify, no problem, but the invariable factor is you. So there is a flower cognition, well, I am invariable factor in that, and flower is mithya, and therefore I am in the form of flower, I am in the form of this, I am in the form of that, etc., etc., etc. So this is how you appreciate. And after some time, definitely, if you contemplate repeatedly upon this Brahman, mind will stay in that recognition. So definitely it takes time, but this is the meaning. That's how it has been said here. Anena iva upasmarati iva. Anena means through the thought, through the cognition. Upasmarati. Well, you do. Smarati means here contemplating. You smarati, which is upa, which is very, very close to you, which is nothing but this pratyekatma. And Eva has been told, you can understand, really you are not contemplating upon Brahman. Basically you are already rooted in Brahman. But since you were appreciating as though you have moved away from this invariable factor and all the time thinking about the variable factor, and well, then definitely as though you have been brought back to the contemplation of Brahman. So this is how it has been told. Now let's go to the next verse. Tadha tadvanam nama tadvanam iti upasitavyam saya etadevam veda abhi hainagam sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. So, well, indeed that Brahman is well known. Tadha means which is well known. Tadvanam, indeed that Brahman which is well known is, Tadvanam is adorable among all the beings. And therefore, Tadvanam Nama, and therefore Brahman is